Should you fire your property manager?
Or are your expectations just misaligned?
Hi, I'm Sarah Karakayan.
And I'm Annette Grant. And together we are
Thanks for visiting.
We've been hosting for well over a decade, welcomed tens of thousands of guests, and earned thousands of 5-star reviews.
Our portfolio continues to bring in over $1.5 million year over year, and supported not only by the industry's leading brands, but also some of the biggest media outlets.
And we're here to help you with your furnished rental. When is it time not to fire your property manager? Ooh. Not to. And this is so important. Again, this is one of those, let's look in the mirror. Do you have unrealistic expectations, honestly? And you know who you are. Are you that listen.
That is probably me.
Yeah, you're right. But are you that person that is never happy with anyone that you ever hire?
Stop talking about me on camera.
Well, I actually had a call last week with someone that was on their 5th property management system. And I'm like, wait, to me, that's a red flag. It's not the PMS system, it's you. So if you are constantly hopping from property manager, co-host, property manager, I just want you to slow down and think about why. And what are these expectations that you have? Are they unrealistic? And also, are they asking you to do things to your property and you're not listening to them?
Ooh, that's really good, Annette. That actually wasn't on our list of things to talk about.
Have they asked you, maybe you need to make some updates to the property. Maybe you need to get new photos. Are you actually taking the feedback that they're giving you? That is what I see so often, is that homeowners are just...
They want everything, but they don't want to do the work for it.
Do any of the work.
Or
they don't want to
money.
do any of the upgrades, and you know who you are if you haven't invested back into your property.
So this is not me. Like, I will overinvest to make the guest happy or to make my neighborhood happy. But I have seen that of like, and you're not a bad person. Like, I get it, right? The property's not making money, and so to invest more money, it just seems counterintuitive. But we have to look at this third party, which is your PM, your property manager, and the other third party, which is the guest. And if they're showing you like, hey, this competitor is doing X amount of revenue each month and you are not, it's not because of me, owner. It's because the photos are terrible, or expectations aren't set, or the couch is disgusting, and like, it's from your grandma's house and you told me we could get a new one 6 months in and we still haven't, right? Like, set them up for success.
And that's when you are comparing them to other property managers, I just want you to compare your property to others in your area. Yeah. I want to make sure that you are giving them the tools inside the property to do so.
Having someone manage someone else's furnished rental, vacation rental, whatever you want to call it, is not something new. But with the boom of Airbnb and their coined term, the co-host, it does make it, I think, a little bit more difficult to really understand who is responsible for what and what they do. Because honestly, I didn't really see the difference between a property manager or a co-host. Some people might argue that a property manager is a licensed professional real estate salesperson. Varying laws from state to state, it might not matter. There are co-hosts out there who do everything for the property owner and they're licensed, but they prefer to call themselves a co-host because of the popularity of the term. And so maybe you are just misaligned because you thought they were a co-host and they're actually a property manager, or you thought they were a property manager and they're really a co-host, and neither of you have talked about the fact that you have different understandings of what those titles bring to the property and your relationship.
We are not legal advice at all.
No.
And so different states do require different licenses, certifications, etc. Some places you cannot co-host without being licensed. Some of them you can't be a property manager, and vice versa. It gets very gray. So again, you need to understand in your area what the laws are for having someone manage, take care of your property with guests inside.
Here's an example of where you could be misaligned and both of you didn't even know to talk about it, where this video I think can help. Maybe you heard all this talk about midterm rentals and you're like, well, why isn't my property manager or why isn't my co-host doing midterm rentals during this time period to maybe pivot strategies or try them both? Well, it could be because in the state you're living in, the person who's helping you isn't licensed to be able to manage stays that are 28 days or longer or 30 days or longer. But let's just talk about, so it's like there's cleaning coordination, maintenance coordination, financial coordination, guest communication coordination, capital improvement coordination. I'm sure there's more. Have you all agreed on what they would be responsible for and what you would be responsible for?
And I want to share, I will be case in point, when I started my co-hosting, because that's what I called it, my co-hosting journey, I just had a handshake agreement. That relationship, it was several years long, but one of the main reasons that relationship ended was that we didn't have anything clearly defined, because what happened is a lot of other property managers and co-hosts started coming to my current client with what they could do, how they could do it, and basically, trying to lure them away from me with all of these parameters that I didn't have in place. That was eventually what led to us not working together anymore, is we didn't have that agreement nailed down. Again, this is like 10 years ago, and I mean, no excuses, but I didn't know I was property managing. I thought I was just helping my, friend host on Airbnb. So again, you got to pause for the cause there, get that contract, get that understanding. And what's so great is, let's say you're already working with someone, it's okay to do this now, even if you're already working together. It's not to say that you have to stop working with them and find someone new. You can work with them if you don't have that contract in place. Here are some of the common issues we hear with hosts and their property manager. One is communication is either just not there or it's just bad. And then also just lack of transparency of what's going on with the property, what's going on with the bookings, what's going on with the guests.
We also hear that the property manager just isn't doing enough. You feel like they're not earning their commission. You've been listening to podcasts or YouTube videos and you're like, are they doing that? They're not even doing that. I don't even know if they're doing that. Are they doing enough? They sing up on trends and new strategies, and then you get frustrated. Now let's discuss when it is time to fire your property manager or your co-host.
And like anything, don't think that this is going to be easy. Don't think that if you haven't researched whether you are going to do it or whether you're going to hire somebody else, that all of a sudden is going to be this silver bullet fix. This is one of those things that I do, before you do this, I want you to take a good hard look in the mirror and make sure that there isn't anything that you could have done or that you're doing in the relationship that, you don't want to carry over A, into a new relationship with a property manager, or B, if it's going to be you doing it, remember all these things are now going to be on your plate, and can you handle it?
I don't know if you've ever had a management position at a more corporate setting, but so if you haven't, I'll share this with you. Because Annette and I do believe in firing fast. It's kind of like a saying.
But we don't do it.
It's nice to say because it's like alliteration, but here we haven't done it, and every time we haven't done it, it's bit us in the butt. Okay, and
because it's work to find someone new.
It's work to find someone new. It's not fun to fire someone, right? All we can go and think about is well, now they're not going to have. They've got kids. I know that their car was broke last month. I know that maybe you saw on social media that someone passed away in their life. All these things can put them as a priority over you and your property, and that's on you to decide. You certainly don't have to take our advice, but all I can tell you is when we don't fire fast and we let it linger on, it doesn't get better. So there's that.
But it doesn't mean firing fast without a plan is going to make it easier.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So if you ever work in corporate America, if you are in HR or you're in a management position, you first talk to the employee and you document it. The date, what you discussed, what was missed. Okay? Then it happens again or something else happens again. You can say, hey, property manager, we talked a couple months ago about this, this, and that. I haven't seen any improvements. Plus, this has happened. So where can we go from here? Because I really would rather us not have a third call where I'm unhappy with your services. And they're like, no, host or property owner, we're going to make it right, blah, blah, blah. And then that third call comes. And on that third call, it's not discussing what you can make right. That third call is letting them go.
How are we offboarding?
Right. So that's what I mean by fire fast. It's yes, fire fast, but make sure that you've talked to them and you're very clear and you outlined it, you dated it, you have your own documentation of that call. Then you do it again. That way you feel really good on that third call. I've talked to you on this date. I talked to you on this date. In my opinion, these things haven't improved. So how can we offboard? So here are other things that you have every right to let this person go. Poor communication. So it's inconsistent. It doesn't make sense to you. Maybe the email is written so fast, they've given no thought to it. they didn't answer your question or you're not really following their train of thought. And it happens often. I think communication is one of the key pillars of great customer service, and providing a service is what they're doing. So they should be good at that.
Next, what do we have here? Negligence or incompetence. Like, this is your property. This is a giant asset. So if there are things that are falling through the cracks or not taking care of the property, that is like huge, huge red flag for you. And you've got to make sure, because what's going to end up happening is there could be an issue then, safety issue with guest, and then that is going to fall back on you. I don't care who is managing your property at the time.
Lack of revenue optimization. If you're very clear that this is their responsibility, and they're not doing a good job of it, I mean, this is the one thing, not the one thing, they got to do a lot of things, but this is the thing that really helps them make money, it helps you make money, and to be able to optimize it should be at the core of the services they're offering. So if they're not pulling all the levers and showing you how they're doing everything they can to make sure that your pricing is optimized, then that would be a reason to move on for me.
We see this one so often is they're just scaling too quickly. They're bringing on too many properties, and then your cleanliness is lacking. Your guest communication is lacking. Again, we'll go back to it. Maybe just safety and maintenance aren't being attended to. You really want to take a look at, have that conversation with them. A lot of times they'll brag of how quickly they're growing when you are in a meeting with them. Just really be careful with that. If they're scaling too quickly, they're not going to have the systems, they're not going to have the team, and your property is probably going to fall through the cracks.
Financial mismanagement. So you're getting your owner statements or they're invoicing you, and it just feels like it's true. Time and time again, there's a discrepancy, something's not right. You're having to really comb through every single time more than usual to make sure they're not making any mistakes. That means they're probably moving too fast, they're scaling too fast. They're not putting an importance on making sure they're communicating the financial management of your property and the revenue at the forefront.
And that is one thing that we see, and we would just really pause, have caution here, as if reports are due to you at a certain time and they're not getting to you, or depending on how the money is taken care of, when are you paying your invoices, when are they invoicing you, when are they releasing the funds. Those are things that if they start to just get slightly off, you want to be very, very careful with those, because we have seen so many incidents where weeks and months go by and then it's no fun for anybody.
So we got the comments below. We love it when you guys participate in the conversation. Let us know if you're considering firing your PM, why. We can maybe help you work through it. If you're thinking about self-managing, let us know why. We could even see if you're a good fit to join our mastery. We can help you set up those systems to get you on the right path of self-management. And if you're a co-host or a property manager watching this, it's always good to get the perspective of your client. Again, for you, remove that ego and see it from their perspective of, it is hard to invest more money in a property that's not performing well. And so how can you change that narrative to really support them and get creative and give them the data and the facts that they need to see? If you'll do this, I can all but guarantee that this outcome will happen. But let us know in the comments below. We love reading them and getting involved. And if you want more education about short-term rentals, we ask you to watch the video all about preventative Airbnb maintenance. It's so important to stay ahead of it, to be preventative and not reactive. It will save you so much in the long run. With that, I am Sarah Perrican.
I'm Annette Grant, and together we are
Thanks for visiting.